let's get this working here. Oh, YouTube. Oh, YouTube. Let me see here. Oh, I get this Fox News stuff here done. Alright. This is... If I can get this on the other set here, I want to get this going. Of what is happening with Fox News and everything, and Chinese drones. This is a ghetto setup, so... Anyways, hopefully everyone can hear me. Hopefully. This is going over stuff from China. They've been having drones for a long while, trying to go into our air system and stuff, and things are heating up. The South China Sea, they had 19 destroyers or more totally encircling Taiwan. They want to take over South China Sea, parts of Vietnam, the Philippines, and other parts of the South Pacific where we do trading. So there's a lot of problems with stuff that's going on in South China Sea. Probably not be reported a lot. Probably a lot of people don't know, but this has to do with the drone dilemma. But we're going to start off here with this Chinese citizen arrested for flying drone over U.S. military base. We're going to get to the nitty-gritty of all of it, people.
For New York and New Jersey, with few answers coming from the Biden administration, how is it possible that the Pentagon doesn't know? I'm not buying it. Local government officials continue to evade answers as far as the origin of these drones. They're being compared to the Chinese spy balloon that flew across the entire country last year. Meanwhile, a Chinese citizen living in Los Angeles is under arrest this morning for allegedly using a drone to take images of Vandenberg Space Force Base in Santa Barbara County. Joining me now is Gatestone Institute senior fellow and the author of Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America, Gordon Chang, back with us. Gordon, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. What is your reaction to these drones? Do you think these drones are Chinese drones surveilling America?
These drones and this activity is too large, too well organized to be the work of lobbyists. And that sort of leaves foreign powers. And it could be Iran in connection with China. But clearly somebody is trying to absorb our attention. And Maria, the thing that really worries me is that if they're trying to draw our attention to these drones, the question is, what are they doing elsewhere in our country? So we could very well get hit. And by the way, I don't think that Chinese national should be put through the civilian justice system. This was a military violation. Person should be in a military brig because clearly the civilian system can't process these people properly and quickly enough, and we need to take them off the streets.
Well, I mean, this has been weeks. You know, at this point, it's really it's really not right.
This is from 7 days ago. We have other ones I could go into here. So
that the Pentagon has not given us more information as far as these drones are concerned. Of course, everyone's going to just start speculating. We need some real answers from the Pentagon to really understand what's.
And let's fast forward right here to today's, right here.
Welcome back now to China. At least 17 U.S. military bases near Chinese-owned farmland, reportedly seeing a surge in drone activity and sightings in recent weeks. The sightings happening near bases in Hawaii and installations in Utah, California, Maine, and Florida. House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCall.
Yeah, Dugway, of course, Hill Air Force Base. We have a lot of secret, above top secret programs happening at Dugway, Area 52. Stupid YouTube wouldn't let me run some of the videos that I have on Area 52 Dugway. So I'd have to do it on another platform. FU, by the way. But part of that is also Discovery. But anyways, Wright-Patterson, we've had UFO technology there. Dugway, we have top secret UFO, super laser, Star Wars type of stuff happening over there at Dugway. Okay? Now, there's no farmland to be had around Area 51, but we do have farmland in these other areas. Chinese have bought farmland right by these military installations. And we're going to get into just some of how much they own.
Paul has been warning about the drones in focus these last couple of weeks. He says they're from China.
My judgment, based on my experience, is that those that are over our military sites are adversarial and most likely are coming from the People's Republic of China. Communist China is very good at this stuff. And we know they bought land around military bases. This would be very consistent with their policy over the last couple of years.
Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville was with me this week. He weighed in on this yesterday. Watch this. Are we buying drones still from DJI, a Chinese drone maker?
Oh, we're buying drones from China. There's no doubt about that. I talked to a drone maker the other day, and basically I said, why are we buying drones from China? They have better technology, Maria, than what we have that handles a lot of the technology parts, like that works with different type of materials, different type of plastics. They make them cheaper, but they make them better. Our technology is way, way behind.
This is a bit of a lie, okay? Let me tell you, this is the legal way to see what foreign adversaries' technology looks like. If we could buy it instead of stealing it from them and look at their capabilities, it's a win-win for us. We have technology that's way ahead of China. That's why they have to copy our technologies. Again, I go back to the warmongering and stuff like that, because this is a lot of what they're trying to do. But, yeah, we have a lot of technology that blow the Chinese away and stuff. But this is buying their stuff, see what capabilities they have, and then we make technology quite leap ahead of that. Now, Chinese are very smart people, way ahead of us in some areas. Okay, in schools, they are way ahead of us. Okay, they'd call us special ed by how far back we are and everything. But
and I guess that's the reason we're buying them from them. But again, that's something else that needs to be discussed with armed services, both the House and the Senate.
Joining me now is the Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow. He is author of Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America. Gordon Chang back with us. Gordon, I find this stunning that we are still buying drones from China. And here we are trying to guess what the drones in the sky are that we're all talking about for the last couple of weeks. My guess is, and I've been saying this, that it is communist China. Your reaction?
It's not all communist China. It's not. Now, could a good amount be? Yes, there could be. Let me tell you, that one senator that said this was from Iran, it's more believable that this would come from China, secret technologies, or from Russia. I think China could actually blow away Russia's technology. Iran doesn't have the technology that China has. And what China's trying to do with making their own type of CERN type of stuff, their own type of quantum leaps and supercomputers, quantum computers that they're doing, they could be, say they're ahead of us. We keep our stuff secret. We put their stuff out so we can get more defense funding to keep the military-industrial complex going, so we can get billions of dollars to get ahead of theirs. But anyways.
Certainly is communist China for many of these drones, maybe even a majority of them. You know, the increased tempo of these drone flights against our military bases is occurring at the same time as there's increased frequency of incursions and attempted incursions of these bases by Chinese and other nationals. Really, what is occurring here is that they are preparing to attack the United States from American soil. I don't know why we need an engraved invitation from Beijing. It's clear what's going to happen. We are going to get hit, and we're not taking the necessary precautions.
Well, if you look at World War II, if people do real research, it was on the History Channel over 10 years ago, secret tapes and filings of FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. We knew that Pearl Harbor was going to happen. FDR let it happen. The Japanese told us that they saw the Marshall Islands, Solomon Islands, and even Midway. They said they considered that theirs. That they did. And we could have done something to stop it, but Franklin Delano Roosevelt wanted an excuse to get into the war because the UK was also getting hammered by the Nazis. And us being attacked would have that excuse. We knew about what was going to happen. We had the intelligence. The Japanese said we own all these bases that the UK, France, and you own. We consider that ours. And now, of course, China considers all those places theirs. So,
precautions to protect these bases and to protect the American people.
Well, I mean, there's also, a weakened situation to admit. For the longest time, General Jack Keane has been telling us on this program repeatedly for years that we are outgunned, we are outmanned when you look at our Navy versus the Chinese Navy. The Pentagon released its 2024 China Military Power Report yesterday. It found that Beijing is increasing its military pressure on Taiwan. It's ramping up its aggression in the South China Sea. It's deepening its ties with Russia, and its crackdown on military corruption may have disrupted progress toward its 2027 modernization goal. China also growing its nuclear arsenal, adding at least 100 nuclear warheads to its stockpile over the past year, with 600 plus already in the arsenal. That number could grow to over 1,000 by 2030, Gordon. And yet there's no response ever from the Biden-Harris administration to Beijing's behavior. We allowed the spy balloon to traverse the country for a week before shooting it down. Why aren't they shooting down these drones in the air if they suspect they're from China?
Right.
There's no good answer. Right. You have base commanders, first of all, don't have the authority, and they don't have the equipment to shoot down these drones. And the Chinese are noticing this, which means they see a big vulnerability. And with those nuclear warheads, Maria, China is building up its arsenal not to deter. It already has enough warheads to deter. It's building up its arsenal so that it can coerce us and others into not doing things like defending Taiwan. They saw the way Biden reacted to Vladimir Putin's nuclear threats before the invasion of Ukraine. They saw that they worked, and the Chinese are going to do the same thing when they go after the Philippines, Japan, Taiwan, whomever.
Well, I want to look at what's happening on the ground. A Chinese man was arrested in 2023 for allegedly running a secret Chinese police station in New York City. He pled guilty yesterday to acting as an illegal foreign agent, Gordon. He's now facing 5 years in prison. He and his partner allegedly opened this police station back in 2022 to track and intimidate Chinese dissidents living in the United States. Both were caught deleting communications with an official from the Chinese Ministry of Public Security after learning that they were, in fact, under investigation. Gordon, you've been talking about this for so many years, these police stations. You first broke the news on this program years ago, that Beijing had set up these police stations in America. Again, no response from Biden for years on police station. Why would we need Beijing police stations in New York?
I think we have the we have the worst administration that shit on the American people. Sorry, I have to say, that doesn't care about its own people. With this administration and how they've let illegals come in, tens of thousands of Chinese and stuff like that, and from other countries. You have from Africa, you have Latin America, you have from Arabia, Syria, Iran, and Lebanon, and people from Colombia. You have El Salvador, Nicaragua. You have cartel people coming in. When they come through the border, they shred their visas, so they can't get fully documented. Now, some of them do get pictures taken when they cross the border. Sometimes they make them take their tops off. They, take their pictures and their backs, see what affiliation they are. But for a large part, they don't, and they get them housed when they get here. You have Catholic charities. I've done reports on this myself. JLR and other people have done reports on this. How they are given food, housing, jobs, cheap labor, and they're taking resources from hardworking Americans. It's really how this administration and past ones have done this for also votes as well, and how with Hurricane Helene and stuff, they let people die, and they've given all this aid to illegals in housing and free rent and food. California is a lot the same way. It's the same way. $10 billion missing. A large part of that is going to illegals. And they say that's missing. It's not missing. They're putting their own special interest programs and a lot of it into illegals and stuff. So you got this. You got Chinese nationals. You have Russians. You have all over the world people being undocumented going through our borders.
City.
No, we don't. And we don't need the 7 to 9 other police stations in the United States that the New York Post and the Daily Caller have written about and reported. It's fine that they closed the New York one. I'm great that they did that, but they should be closing the other installations as well. It is just no justification for allowing the Chinese to violate our sovereignty and in many cases commit crimes against us. We're allowing consular officials and Ministry of State security agents to commit those crimes and violate our security on our own soil.
Yep, great point. Lee Carter, jump in here.
Gordon, I am so intrigued by this whole thing. I've been talking about the drones for a while. My family is from New Jersey. I've seen the drones over my home. So many people are saying it's just not possible that these drones could be from a foreign entity, that we would know. And if they were, we would be doing something about it. How is it possible that this is happening? And what do you think is going to be different come January 20th?
Yeah, well, some of these drones may not be Chinese, and they're not. They're federal government drones because they're too big. They are not the drones of hobbyists. So that leads the question is, what is the federal government?
Hey, so these guys are fucking desperate. Do we need to go there? Probably not. But I'm just saying, you never know what goes in these guys' minds besides just getting intel.
Doing in the skies over New Jersey with such a large operation. And, there are any number of alternative explanations, but until we hear the truth from the Biden administration, we have to speculate. Yeah. As President Trump said on Monday, the federal government knows what's happening in the skies over New Jersey, but it's not telling us. And if it's not telling us, the story cannot be good. The story can be ominous, it can be whatever, but it's not good.
Well, look, also ominous is this report that China is rapidly expanding its nuclear forces, according to the Pentagon, Gordon. I didn't hear you comment about that. U.S. Defense Department reports Beijing has increased its operational nuclear warhead arsenal by 20% in a year, Gordon.
Yes, and they're going very, very fast at this.
And to be fair, we're doing it, Russia's doing it. They're doing this response to us because American, we actually have Star Wars assets in space. They're not going to admit that, but when we have stuff, they're going to answer, they're going to make up. It's just ridiculous, really.
And as we know, this is not for deterrence, this is for coercion. So they intend to engage in acts of aggression, but beforehand threaten everyone with the nuclear weapons if they don't do what the Chinese want. So
wow.
It's very clear what's happening. The Chinese have already made these threats, especially since 2021. And in 2013, they...
Let me see here. We're going to go over this as well. Oh, there's pursuit of alleged reckless driver. Let's see.
Welcome back. Mysterious drones continue to fly over New York and New Jersey with few answers coming from the Biden administration. How is it possible that...
We've been over that, but let's go over farmland here. This is China right here. North Dakota. China owns 384,000 acres of American agricultural land. That's a lot. That they bought up, I should say. And Americans lost a good amount of that farmland to the Chinese. They can control the food that we have because they own it. We don't have laws to protect American citizens. This is from July 2023. So was it updated to 2024? 2024, and that is from Representative not Phil Collins, I think the singer. We can listen to some Phil Collins though, but increases 20. That's from 30%. That's from 2024, 2023. It's 2023, March 2024. How much? It'd be nice if I didn't have ghetto internet. This is like from the Stone Ages. I hope they're gonna have probably ads. It doesn't take this long. Come on. Okay. Short. This is from Blue Marble. Okay, this is from March right here, 2024 to April 4, 2024. It says in 2023, at least 81 bills banning Chinese ownership of U.S. land were introduced across 33 states. At the same time that the federal government was wrapping up efforts to restrict or investigate Chinese-owned businesses like TikToker. I like TikToker. Let me see. That's a different video and stuff like that. Anyways, I don't use it, but anyways. And Temu. Some legislators say Chinese ownership of U.S. land represents or presents a national security risk, which it is, but the acreage actually held by China in the States is relatively small. As of 2021, China owned less than 1%. That's 2021. Let me see. So these are different countries here. That's actually a sliver. But Canada owns more, 31%. So is this a bunch of BS by the news that they're trying to create warmongering? This is other. You have different, you got United Kingdom, Portugal, Francais, Danish, Portuguese, Germania, Deutsch, Italia, Netherlands, 7%. So Canada owns the biggest sliver, not China. This is from 2024. So what the news is saying is not accurate? 0.9%? But there's 384,000 acres is a lot. They're buying it around bases. So we have to get to the nitty gritty here. What is really happening? Because the news is going to try and spin this, and politicians as well, for warmongering. Let me see. Okay, the remaining 15.6 million acres are split up among 100 other countries, including India, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. Or Iran, depends how you, let's see. The amount of agricultural land that's foreign owned has grown significantly in recent years. In 2011, 26 million acres were owned by foreign investors, like Bill Gates, which is a crime in itself. That he wants us to eat synthetic foods, not real food. And he considers humans a biohazard. Let me see. So in 2011, 26 million foreign investors. Less than 2/3 of the acreage held by foreign interests in 2021, though USDA data since 2021 is not substantive. It shows that this trend is continuing. 2022 grew 43.4 million acres. Most of the states, very little land is foreign held. The exception to this is Maine, where a fifth of all privately held land is at least partially foreign owned. Most of that land is forest controlled by Canadian owners, particularly the Canadian Timber Company, Irving. They have their own woods. Why are you going into ours? Because they pride themselves on green, but yet they're hypocritical and they want to use our woods and say they're trying to spare, climate change and stuff like that, instead of cutting their own timber and being hypocrites. They want to use ours. Yes. Top 2 states. The Timber Company, Irving Woodlands, which owns at least 1.255 million acres in Maine. There goes our beautiful woodland. Or about a third of the state's foreign-owned land. Maine and Texas, which are top 2 states for most foreign-held lands, have no laws restricting foreign ownership of land. That keep a lot of people up at night, especially they could lose their farms. At the county level, Aroostook County in northern Maine has one of the highest percentages of foreign-owned land. It's also one of the main counties where Irving operates in Maine, having owned large parcels of land in the county since at least 1999. Nearly half of Aroostook County's 6,671 square miles are foreign-owned. But at the national level, this is an extraordinary outlier. Most American counties have single-digit percentages of foreign land ownership or less. So it's over there in Maine. Why do they own? Let's see. According to USDA report, almost half of all foreign-held U.S. land is timber or forest land. 29% is for crops, and 22% is pasture or agricultural land. 22%. Okay. Only 2% of foreign held land is non agricultural. Okay. Agricultural land can be a great investment, said Michigan State University agricultural professor David Ortega. In a question and answer Q&A at the college, foreign entities have bought this land for food production, energy projects such as wind or solar farms, or as an investment due to its stable growth returns. Now, some countries buy up our farmland, I gotta say, is because they can't grow the same foods over there that we can over here. It can't grow over there. Only in America, the United States, can grow these fruits, and some of these vegetables because of the type of temperatures and stuff like that we have, and the type of soil as well. So that's a big reason, because they can't grow them in other countries like they can here. So it's part of trade and stuff like that. In 2023, the average value of farm real estate in the U.S. hit $4,080 an acre. That keeps me out. Nearly double what it was in bastards was in 2007. The U.S. Government Accountability Office notes that wind farms have been a particular driver of recent increase in foreign held land. Makes no sense. As the office explains, many foreign companies have begun leasing pastures and farmland in recent years to build wind turbines, which kills a lot of birds flying around as well. But they don't report that on the news because it's clean energy. They're not going to report all the birds getting killed. But anyways, I digress. So, let's see. Why are lawmakers concerned about Chinese ownership? Many of the state legislators who have supported bills to limit Chinese land ownership cite national security concerns, which seem to be overblown in some of it, except for those police departments the Chinese are opening up, right? And the reconnaissance of drone craft. There's two sides to all of this. We're getting into all this. For instance, that the Chinese government could use the land to set up espionage, yeah, of course, operations, or that the U.S. food security could be threatened if too much farmland is bought up, which is only 0.9%, but there's 384,000 acres that are bought. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's nothing. That's no joke. This is partially sparked by the alleged Chinese spy balloon. It's not alleged. It's fact. Balloon seen flying across the country in 2023. Can foreign governments themselves own land? Yes, they can. While foreign governments can own or have financial stake in U.S. land, it's not typical. Michigan State University, I don't care what the F he said. They like to spin this put their own story on this and say that's good and stuff like that. So there's good tension with the law of it, but there's also the espionage, military, and intelligence part of it they can use to exploit the system as well. Okay. In 2022, the Chinese land purchase in the U.S. also raised concerns that spring a food producer called Fufeng Group bought 370 acres for corn milling near Air Force Base, North Dakota. Now that is very sus when they do that. It's very sus. This prompted the Biden administration to propose new rule. So Biden did try to do something. I attack the Biden administration a lot. I attack all administrations. I'm not on one side of the aisle. I don't like either. So he did try to rule any foreign company or individual who wants to buy land within 100 miles of certain U.S. military bases, the North Dakota base included. This needs government approval. 100 miles is long distance. Let me see here. While Chinese ownership of U.S. land has been a hot topic for lawmakers, it would become the center of a Montana Senate race this year. China only had a stake in 384,935 acres of U.S. land in 2021. Well, we're talking about now, not then. It's worth noting that 2023 NBC investigation found, that was 2023, that's old news, that foreign ownership reporting system is lax and enforcement is minimal, with some purchases not being reported to the USDA for years. So how much more can any country have these things bought up and not be reported? There's something very wrong with that. But there's no evidence that Chinese land ownership in the U.S. exceeds its reported boundaries by, whatever. Okay, so this is 23. In testimony to the Senate Agricultural Committee in September, Michigan State's Ortega said Chinese investments, are you bought by them? Investments in foreign agriculture, are you being bought by them? Are largely driven by its desire to build food self-sufficiency, even though they have their own land to grow stuff. They have their own land, they can do this. They have good soil. In a lot of areas, of course, the monsoon, to be fair, gotta be fair, the monsoons that they have in China would kill these crops. So that's why in Asia, rice is the huge grower, it's the huge thing there. Because, they can handle the rains a lot better than, trying to grow other types of crops. But anyways, economist Glober told Washington Post that Chinese ownership of U.S. farmland is literally a drop in the bucket. Despite this, in 2023 alone, at least 81 bills were proposed across 33 states that would restrict Chinese ownership of farmland and any land near military bases. At least one of those bills passed a Florida law that banned those who are not U.S. citizens and are not domiciled from China from buying land or buildings. The bill was blocked by a U.S. appeals court. SOBs. So much for protecting Americans, right? Appeals court in February of this year. Though this new wave of Chinese land restrictions is notable in its volume and its disproportionality to the amount of land that China actually owns in the U.S., placing some limits on foreign land ownership It is fairly common practice. About half the states have laws restricting foreign land ownership in some capacity. According to the National Agricultural Law Center, at least 11 federal bills on the topic have been proposed in the last 3 years. We expect the political rhetoric, political, warmongering as well, to be used, psychological warfare as well, to escalate and expect more legislation to be introduced and passed. John C. Yang, President and Executive Director of Asian Americans Advancing Justice, told the Washington Post, even state legislators want to appear to be tough on China right now, and they are grasping for things that they can control in their own legislatures to show they are being tough. About the authors, Hope O'Dell, Chicago Council Global Affairs, 2023, real-time reporter, and his role cover global politics, policy. Former data journalist, Department of Exchange Programs, Meridian International Council. So this has to be from 2023. It says 2024. It said when I clicked on it, but knowing YouTube. Okay, posted. Okay. So posted right here. Or it's updated April 4, 2024. So this sliver, 0.9%. This is why we have to investigate stuff ourselves, because politicians like to incite warmongering. They do. You can't trust politicians because they don't have our backs, like many people think. They don't. 33 bills, and they have. If anything, it would be to make things harder on civilians than protecting us. Now there was a post here. That was May. Control millions of acres. When was this? This is July. Wisconsin. Let's go here. Fears of China owned farmland in Wisconsin and the U.S. are exaggerated, new analysis suggests. This is July 10, 2024. That picture is from 2016. Beautiful picture. They look a bit dry. They need some water, but anyways. Okay. Lawmakers and citizens are raising concerns about Chinese companies purchasing U.S. land, but a new analysis paints a different picture of who owns and leases American farmland. Wisconsin is among more than 2/3 of all states that are considering for enacting laws limiting or banning foreign ownership of land, which they should. Politico reported in April, a Wisconsin state statute restricts foreign private investment in land. The Agricultural Foreign Investment Disclosure Act 1978 created a national system for collecting information on foreign ownership of American farmland. A report this year from the U.S. Government Accountability Office recommended the U.S. Department of Agriculture improve the reliability and timelines of its data. Also this year, U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin introduced a bill with bipartisan support, in an effort to improve reporting and enforcement of existing federal laws on foreign farmland ownership. U.S. Senate candidate Eric Hoffney, who is running against Baldwin in Wisconsin, recently claimed that China is buying up large stretches of American agricultural land. Well, let's also talk about they have 1.3 billion people there in China. So, anyways, Wen Sheng, an assistant professor of economics with Cornell University. Wow, that's big time. Joined WPR's Wisconsin Today and poured some cold water on that idea. Sheng and two other researchers recently published an article mapping and contextualizing foreign ownership and leasing of U.S. farmland in the 2024 Journal of American Society of Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers. Sheng said in recent research found that China and other adversarial countries hold 0 acres of farmland in Lake region of the U.S., a space that includes Wisconsin. His team found that Canada, Denmark, and Portugal are top 3 holders of Wisconsin foreign-held land. Not China so much. We need to have facts in what's going on here, because you can't trust lawmakers. You can't trust Congress. You can't trust how they're going to spin it. Now, I don't like how China has land near these facilities, but at the same time, when I say that the U.S., when I say that China is Russia, North Korea, Iran, and other countries, they can look over our top secret facilities anytime they want. They have, super hypersonic craft. They have satellites. They know more about our top secret programs than a lot of people in Congress do. They see everything that civilians don't, and yet the civilians have a right to know what's going on. We the people have a right to know what's going on and stuff. So that says a lot. Canada, Denmark, Portugal, top 3 holders of Wisconsin's foreign-held land. And let me take a drink here. So, yes, let's get to the bottom line. The bottom line is, if you're concerned about significant Chinese holdings of agricultural land in Wisconsin, the evidence seems to say the contrary, Sheng said. However, Sheng also found more than 51% of Wisconsin's foreign-held agricultural land is categorized without a prominent country code, meaning investors in a particular property come from multiple countries, not just one. Sheng said it's possible for China or other countries might hold shares small enough in some types of holdings to fall outside of what is reported to the government, leaving them underrepresented in USTA data. On Wisconsin Today, Sheng broke down his findings and what they mean for American farmers. The following was edited for clarity and brevity. Rob Ferret, you dug into data from USDA on foreign owners of American farmland. The big concern is around so-called adversary nations, China in particular. So when you dug into how much land is owned or leased by county, what did you find out? Okay. Let's go over all this right here. Windon Shing. As an overview, foreign persons or companies hold about 43 million acres of U.S. agricultural land as of 2022. That is about 3.4% of all privately held agricultural land. As you mentioned, the attention is on adversary countries: China, Russia, Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran, with increasing attention on China. China actually is not one of the dominant players in this space. Canada owns and leases about 12 million acres of U.S. land. China's total holding across the entire United States is 350,000 acres, with 0.9%. So just by acre is a big number. Yes, it is, definitely. But if you're looking at percentage, remember, this will be less than 1% of all foreign holdings. So less than 1% of 3.4% owned or leased by all foreign entities. 12 million that Canada has versus 350,000 acres. There's a big difference. Now, where Canada owns this land is woodland and stuff like that, which we already went into. That was woodlands, forest areas, stuff like that. They have other holdings in our areas. The problem with what China has is that they're by military installations, which that's not good. Not good. But, you see politicians, beating the drums of war. They should own land. Nobody should, no foreign entity should own land by military basis. It depends the proximity, how many miles away it is. Boy, I could fly stuff around Dugway and all these other places. I would do it. I say fuck it, do it. People do have a right to know. Windmill farm turbines, that's 2018. By helicopter, Northeast Madison, there's Baraboo. RF. What do we know about foreign-owned farmland in Wisconsin? Who owns it, and what's happening on that land? The U.S. has 3.4% of all privately held agricultural land owned or long-term leased by foreign companies. That percentage in Wisconsin is 2.4%. So, yeah, there are two interesting points. There are two interesting points when we look at Wisconsin. 85% of all land that has foreign interest is foreign land. Forest land, not foreign. So it's not cropland, not pasture land. It's actually nearly 400,000 acres of forest land, predominantly with Canadian ownership. Right, right. Some of the top companies in Wisconsin actually don't list any predominant country code. The USDA doesn't require them to report the multiple countries involved in these transactions, though they should, but they actually hold probably the lion's share of all 4 land holdings in Wisconsin. About half of the land with foreign interests is held by 3 to 5 large companies with no dominant country. So it's likely a collection of Canadian and Western European countries, not China. But this also highlights the need to beef up quality of the reporting. I'm sure that many politicians in Wisconsin and the public would like to know what are the countries involved in those, especially given their significant presence in Wisconsin. Now, what I'd like to know is Bill Gates. Do we have something on Bill Gates? This SOB. That's with the World Economic Forum and stuff. GeekWire, New York Post. That's a lot. Which one do I go to? GeekWire. Bill Gates is the largest owner of private farmland. If anyone is a threat to our food supply, it'd be Bill Gates, because he wants us to eat synthetic foods. He doesn't want us to have meat. Let's go Soylent Green in the future. He could be as much of a threat as China, even a bigger one. Transitional, 25,750 acres recreational, 1,234. So it's World Economic Forum cronies. And this is somebody that believes that the world is overpopulated by humans, which I think it is in a lot of ways a bit too myself, but that's being controlled. That was 250,000 acres. What was this? Highly productive farm ground spread over 17 states. Let me see. What was this? What was this? Hate that SOB. 250,000 acres. Productive farm ground spread over 17 states. Race highest, largest private farmland owner. Gates Korea's huge tranches. Group farmland assets owned by Canada Pension Plan Investment Board that was acquired 2017-2018. Acquisition of the 100 Circles acreage in the Horse Heaven Hills of eastern Washington. Those two purchases alone total investment of $690 million in farmland assets. When was this? Why isn't there a date? 275,000. There's a difference between 275,000 and 242,000. thousand. 4 trillion. Investors eye American Farmland, many newcomers in the soon-to-be $4 trillion Farmland. 4 trillion. Wow. Market have historically shunned this asset. That guy is a huge threat to our food supply, and how he doesn't want us to use organic foods. He wants to use synthetic. He believes that growing our own organic foods using fertilizer from where we normally get it from, cows, stuff like that, creates carbon dioxide, contaminates our air. The guy's real POS. What was this? That was 2021. I want something 2022, 2023. So you have it right here. Tech billionaire spent $113 million on Nebraska farmland. Bill Gates owns mostly northeast Nebraska. Each county, buy, borrow, die. Below. That's just in Nebraska. But we went over to 690 million. Who owns the most farmland? Canadian. It's almost 13 million. 12,845,000. What was that report? That was last year, so you think it got up by now. This is old news. This guy is a fucking lunatic. This farmland is the largest landowner in the U.S. Stats show agriculture. This is from Popular Mechanics. Bill Gates. Conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy, it's fact. He put it out there himself. He says that he wants to do this to make synthetic foods. Stop your BS. Sure, theories together like peanut butter, jelly. Billionaire can't seem to do anything without drawing conspiracy. No, they're fact. They're fact. I've overcome. He said it himself. Bill Gates did. So, Rosio spends over 8% of farmland in the United States. 80%? Is this? The former Microsoft CEO owns upward of 100 or 80% up. Over 80% of farmland in the United States. But it's not, yeah. So put the facts out there, not the conspiracy part. Point out most. It's not connected to climate. It is. It is connected to climate. This is the same guy that wanted to put huge solar panels in the sky to block out the sun. This is from Bill Gates. He was a proponent of that, to block the sun. And he's for creating programs for changing weather, stuff like that. So, starting in 2013, Gates began investing his billions through a firm, Cascade Investment, Agriculture, steady increased value of low volatility. According to Mother Jones, the average of farmland increased 6 times. Alright, let's. Although Bill Gates owns these farms, he isn't changing their practices. Instead, so acts as a landlord and allows professional farmers to keep doing their thing. Even those practices are ruinous to the environment. Similar to private equity firms destabilizing the housing market. Millionaires and billionaires investing in farmland are also creating their own set of issues. They're now pricing out young farmers looking for land. Billionaires should be able to do that. I don't like the stupid capitalism BS that we have in this country, because it destroys the normal Jane and Joe, from buying land and having the same opportunity for just the average person. So 2021. I want 2021. Are they capable? Yes. Our land, United States, 270,000 acres. People can look this up themselves, but I just wanted to do this real quick because this is people need to investigate this stuff themselves as well. And not all of this, like I said, some of these things are UFOs. Some of these things are government. Some of these are airplanes, normal drones used by law enforcement. Where I am right now, there's drones all over the skies. If the police aren't, looking over us with their helicopters, drones are. There's military traffic from where I am, private airplanes, Lockheed, stuff like that. So, I mean, there's that, there's the government, there's, ETs, UFOs, all this stuff is together. And with a lot of these drones, they're not civilian, but they're making laws against civilian use. It's going to hurt nobody more than civilians. That this isn't the problem. If anything, civilians are trying to investigate this and see what's happening in the skies themselves and find one of these drones and interact with them, these secret drones. And some of these drones have secret technologies as well. They can just blip in and out and go hypersonic speeds. So you have all three things going on here. I don't trust anything mainstream media, is putting out, because they have their own agenda, their own story to put out, their own narrative. And if we believe them, this is why a lot of these people need to be phased out. In some ways, have just, I think when it comes to different news, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, CNN stuff, that you're going to find how biased they are and how it's all political mongering and stuff like that, and not with truth. There's going to be a little truth in it. China, they're getting away with stuff. The administration has let too much BS happen with, illegal immigration. And whereas before our ancestors came in through a vetted process, we had to prove we could work, we had to have work, and they had to know who we are. There's a legal process. we have an illegal process right now, and so 0.9% China owns. It's where they own it that's a huge problem. So I mean, everybody, make up your own minds and tell me what you think. Anybody there, tell me, what you think. I'm really interested because I'd like to hear others have to say about this. But I think it's time I would probably ought to do other things. If I pretty much reported so much on this, I have a lot of other stuff to do, report on, as well as doing stuff on the adult industry, age verification stuff. I want to do that later tonight, though, because I have been around the adult industry and I know people in it, and I don't like the BS of so-called age verification. So I wanted to do that. Anyways, leave a comment, leave a like, and tell me what you think. Take care, everybody. Bless and peace.